Well, it looks like unemployment has reached a plateau for filing, but we're going to talk about the ripple effects of COVID-19 and all of the likely potential things that are going to be happening with the stock market, with business. I was just reading today in the Wall Street Journal, factories closing. They got money from the government. They held out as long as they could, but they can't hold out any longer. And the wave of bankruptcies, of factories closing is starting to happen. Even Warren Buffett says, I don't know, there's too many unknowns. It's hard to tell what's going to happen. And so we're going to go through ways that you can be getting back into the market. I talked about the Fibonacci Retracement. So even though the market has gone down significantly and bounced back up, Fibonacci, that's over 1,000 years old, would say this is just part of the normal process of the stock market going down, if it's going to go down. Not that it's going to, but what's happening with the market, one big thing is the government has pumped so much money into it, and I like to give the scenario. Imagine having $200,000 of credit card debt, our national debt, $200,000 of credit card debt, and you were just told you can't go to work, you have to stay home. And you think, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to make ends meet? And then the credit card company calls and says, you know what? We're going to extend you an additional $20,000 of credit card debt. I know your credit cards were maxed out. I know it felt like you were in too deep, but you know what? Here's another $20,000. And then a friend calls you up the next couple days. You know, I've been thinking about you. How's it going? Not being able to work. How's everything going? You're like, well, it was rough, but shoot, I mean, it feels fine now. And then maybe a month or two after that, you're still not able to work. Getting through that $20,000, getting where you're going to be running out of money. And then the credit card company calls you up again and says, hey, let's go. We can give you some more debt. You can just add it on. And you can pay it off when you get around to it. Well, sooner or later, as my grandmother would say, the chickens come home to roost. And the reality that even if people are getting paid, even if they're not filing unemployment, if they're not producing, that's not sustainable for our economy. Not to mention all of the other effects that we're just now starting to hear about with mental health, with unfortunately with suicide, with domestic violence. All of those things are long-term effects that are going to have a long-term effect on society. They link unemployment or not working to people having a bad emotional experience. And I would say there's one reason for that. The one reason is people need to feel like they are producing. People need to feel like they are contributing. Whether it's a mother, whether it's a father, whether it's just a single person, we need to be able to feel always like we're contributing. And one of the big catastrophes from this coronavirus, from the stay-at-home orders, and I'm not saying I'm against them, one of the biggest catastrophes is that we can't produce in ways that we used to. And so it's up to us to think about how we're going to be able to reinvent ourselves, how we're going to be able to produce with what's happening. But back to what we were talking about with getting into the stock market. With Warren Buffett saying, I'm not sure of what's going to be happening here. One thing it reminds me as well of when I was at Chrysler, we have had hundreds of suppliers who produced thousands of different parts. And some of those parts were some very little company that would produce that part. Well, if that company went out of business, and that's one of even a few companies that go out of business, now these bigger companies have to be able to figure out not only a way to produce those parts, but also produce them with the same level of quality and the same volume that they were able to produce them before. That's why I say ripple effect. We are only going to be beginning to see what I would call cataclysmic effects of the coronavirus over the next several months. And it will likely be a couple of years until there's any level of what will be the new normal. And the new normal, things will not be the way that they used to be. Nevertheless, if you want to be in the stock market, and you want to get money into the stock market, and you have, say, $500,000 sitting on the line, I would invest it 10% at a time. Maybe over every 3 weeks, put in another 10%. So if it's 500,000, put in 50,000 right now. Then maybe wait 3 or 4 weeks, put another 50,000. Then maybe wait another 3 weeks, put another 50,000 and put money into it. So that way you're buying at the rate at which the market is. And then at any time you want to stop investing because maybe the markets have gone down significantly or gone up too much, you can do that. That's a way that you can not miss out on what's currently happening and also be protective as you're coming into the stock market if you're not in it right now. And always keep in mind ACE, adapt, control, and exit. With every question, I'll put a link to that at the bottom of this video. Always ask those questions before you make any decision. Thank you.